Welcome to the Runna Podcast. I'm Ben, head coach.
And I'm Anya, international marathon runner. And we're proud to be the #1 rated running coaching service worldwide.
We'll be having truly insightful conversation with truly inspirational guests, as well as bringing you tips and tricks for runners of all abilities. Today on the podcast, we had the amazing Oli Paterson, who's also known as El Burrito Monster on social media, and he has grown an enormous following making incredible viral food recipes.
But not only that, he's now picked up running pretty seriously. He talks about finding the sport from a pretty unhappy place where he was drinking too much, gambling too much, and weighed over 135 kilograms. He then went and ran London Marathon yesterday with a huge PB.
Enjoy the episode.
Hi Ollie, how are you feeling this morning?
Very good actually. I had over 7 hours sleep. I'm finally outrun the energy crash post-marathon. I have had an almond croissant for breakfast. I've had caffeine and coffee and water. And yeah, other than my really painful legs and feet, I'm pretty good.
You're still wearing your medal, and we'll get on to London Marathon in a minute. But I guess we'll start right back at the beginning. What got you into running in the first place?
Well, I started making food videos on the internet right at the start of lockdown. I was working a full-time job during the day. I was making these food creations all night. They were a bit wild and wacky, and I was eating them all. And I just basically put on 20 kilos just from eating all this food. So when I eventually managed to be like, oh, this could be a career opportunity for me, I'm going to quit my job. I was like, right, if I'm going to do this properly, I need to sort of get on top of fitness as well. So I was like, right, I'm going to run, I'm going to try and lose some weight. And actually, the actual benefits on top of that was like, oh, my mind works better now as well. So I was like thinking of better ideas. I was able to make more content. And actually, the success of my entire food career kind of hinged on the running stuff that kind of carried it in the background. So I started running, thinking it was about losing weight. And I did lose the weight, but then actually it unlocked all these other parts of my brain that I never really realized were there. So I started running about a year after that. So that was maybe March 2021. Signed up to my first half marathon in October 2022, the Manchester half, which I believe you've run, but maybe not the same one. Actually, I did another one a year later, so we maybe did that one at the same time, but you were probably quite a lot quicker than me. And just started signing up to a bunch of half marathons to be like, oh, this would be a fun little goal to work towards. And then eventually got round to signing up to marathons as well, which is ridiculously hard.
Yeah.
So I guess when you first started running to lose weight, had you ran and exercised and done sport before that?
I did a bit of sport at school and uni, so I did a little bit of badminton, tennis, racket sports, and a bit of American football at uni. I did sign up to do a half marathon at uni that I never actually trained for, and it actually got cancelled at the last minute. So my untrained self was probably secretly happy that it got cancelled because it snowed the night before quite heavily. But yeah, I'd tried to do the odd jog around the block and struggle to get a 2K in, and it was sort of run walking to sort of just get out and around the block. But I was always quite a sort of a big guy. So at my peak, I weighed about 135 kilos. So every sort of kilometre was a struggle back then.
So how did getting into your running at 135 kilos go? And talk us through those first few runs, those first few weeks.
It was a lot of pain. It was a lot of shin splints, a lot of trips to the chiropractor for back problems, and all these I was getting so many problems where I'd try and run myself so hard to the point where my body started breaking, and I would have to take a month off running. So it's basically going hard, having to take a bit of time off, and then every time I went at it, I was a bit lighter, and the shin splints started being less of a problem, and the trips to the chiropractor helped me, and the back started to stop flaring up. So when I eventually got down to 100 kilos, so 35 kilos down, all these problems that I was having sort of melted away a little bit, and they just stopped being issues anymore.
Have you always been this driven? You started just making cooking creation videos, and then you stuck at it so much that you became an internet sensation. Then you picked up running, you were saying, just jogging to lose weight, and then you just randomly sign up for a half marathon and fully believe you can do it. Where do you think that comes from?
It's actually, I've got quite an addictive personality, so I've always got multiple addictions on the go at once, and right now my addictions are content creating and running. They've also been sort of alcohol, gambling, tobacco. So as my current addictions go, those ones have all nipped in the bud, and now my current addictions are all kind of contributing towards my future. So it's quite nice to have sort of addictions in line with what I actually want to do in life.
I guess because what you just ran on the weekend, yesterday, was so incredible, it's quite helpful almost to understand where you were in your worst point in time? So you said you were smoking, gambling, drinking. What was life like before this new, very healthy, very impressive, very strong Oli?
Honestly, it was like absolute complete low point. It was like I would be drinking every single day without fail. If I didn't drink, I'd get to like 3 a.m. I was like, I can't sleep, so I'd have to have like 4 beers on my own in my bedroom at 4 a.m. just to get some sleep. And then
How old were you at that time?
that was probably ages like 20 to 23. So it was like proper like boozy era. Like it's the point where I think the most I ever drank in a day was maybe 2 liters of rum. So I was like quite heavy on the booze, and now I kind of like have the odd like champagne at a wedding, but like I don't really drink. It's like the odd drink from here to there. Two post-marathon pints, and sort of like nice to celebrate, but without impacting like sleep and life. And honestly, it seems like a distant memory of a different person. Like it's a complete. It's not remembering it as me. It's remembering like that was a different person.
Well, it's funny having not met you in that way to imagine that could have been you, given what you can achieve and what you do now, both in your work and in your fitness. How did you get over the drinking?
I guess running, to be honest. It's like, you know, when my early lockdown nights would be spent sort of playing Fortnite with the boys and sort of seeing off like 10 beers on a weeknight, I basically kind of switched that and started going for runs instead. And it would like distract me from both the excessive gaming, the excessive alcohol consumption, and all the food I was eating. So like running was like, it replaced all of these like bad behaviors in my life, and I was able to like go out and do it, and my happiness skyrocketed because suddenly, rather than like having a constant like sort of background null feeling, I was like basically experiencing a constant runner's high. So it was like it replaced all of those negative emotions, and instead I was just like feeling happy and positive.
Because I can see how it all snowballs once you get started. Once you start your running, you realize you can run your 5k, you can keep going, you're losing weight. Now you've got this positive feedback cycle that you're within, and life's going so well, it's only hopefully going to motivate you to keep getting faster and stronger and happier. What was it that, like, were you really unhappy? Like, what was it that actually got you out on that first run? Because that first run is probably the hardest one to go on when you're drinking, you're playing games, you're doing whatever. It's so much less appealing to go and do that when you don't know it's going to lead to everything it's led to.
Yeah, it's really hard to get the clarity of mind when your brain is so foggy. I guess, like, for me, it was just a quarter life crisis where it all happened at once, where, like, I quit my job, I moved back in with my mum, broke up with my ex, and then lost 35 kilos. It was a bit of it was like, oh, my life isn't going where I thought it was, and there's some family issues going on, and I was like, if I don't fix my life, it could be where some of my family members are at, and sort of like a really bad place when they're like 50, 60. So I was like, right, I need to fix my life now so I don't get to that point and live with regret, basically.
Yeah, thank you so much for like opening up about that. I had no idea, and you must be like such a strong person to be able to like turn it around like that. Do you think your mental strength is one of your biggest strengths, because you have some wild ambitions and you seem to just believe you can do things?
Probably to my own detriment sometimes. It's a bit of an overconfidence. I can believe I can outperform the maths and outperform the system, and somehow because I think when I googled like how quick a 100-kilo person can run a 5k, and everyone on Google seems to think like 20 minutes is the limit for a 100-kilo person, and I was like, oh, I can do 17. It's quite nice. So that kind of gives me arrogance to think I can somehow outperform physics. And when like my Strava and my runner apps are all telling me, oh, your peak marathon time's like 2:45, 2:50, I'm like, I'm gonna go for 2:38, which is obviously way too quick, and I sort of gassed out. But I was like, why not? Yeah, I've outperformed the system before. I'll do it again. But I think I'm at the point now where I've fixed all the sort of the problems in the background, and now I've the point where I probably can't outrun science anymore.
And do you feel that you're able to, you continue to make incredible recipes and make incredible food that I'm extremely eye-watering over every time you post it online? Like, do you find that you're now able to balance making this incredible food, which maybe to some extent conflates with this goal of continuing to get faster and stronger and be a healthier weight? Like, how do you find that you balance these two pieces together?
Well, it's I guess it's sort of, I'm in a cycle where there's an expectation of an extravagance to all the sort of food content I make nowadays, and like if I'm eating and making that and not exercising on the side, I'm just going to crash and not be able to edit the video because my energy would kind of be drained. So I'm like, well, if I'm burning 2,000 calories running in a day, I need those to get those back from somewhere anyway. So may as well be some big delicious dish, and it can be a bit like content extravagant, and it's like quite a good cycle of make the cool thing, go for a run. the run then unlocks this sort of brain power of when I get back from a run, I'll have the capacity to edit, and it gives you, like, people think like running saps away your energy. Every hour you put into your running, you get 2 hours of productivity back in the rest of your life. And I think that's the main thing that people don't realize is you're not giving time to running, you're getting time back in the rest of your life that you'd otherwise have to spend just like sitting on the sofa scrolling or watching Netflix, or like that energy just comes right back.
I'm sure you can resonate with that like exercise somehow gives us energy. It doesn't take energy away. And that's all the...
Maybe not marathons. They definitely take energy away, but training runs definitely give you energy back.
Yeah.
How was the marathon yesterday? I also don't think you were overambitious with... You've got to be confident. You've got to go in believing. And it was such a tough day yesterday. How did it go?
Yeah, well, as I was saying before, all the apps were telling me I was on track for sort of a 2:48, 2:50 marathon, and I was like, so that would be like a 4-minute plus pace. I went out at a 3:45 pace, and I held that for 20k or so, and then obviously the second half was probably more like 4:30 pace, I think it was roughly. But I knew my legs weren't going to hold up, so I kind of, before I hit a wall, I brought it right back down. I was like, I want to run the whole thing. I don't want to be walking at the end, so I was like, right, I may as well slow down to a 4:30 now. In my head, I was like, I've got a few targets that I want to hit aside from all that. Like, I definitely want to get like a PB, obviously, which is around 3 hours, like 15 seconds under the 3 hour mark. And I was like, oh, I know Schooner Scorer got 2:56. I was like, oh, I want to beat Schooner Scorer because he's a really good runner. And then also I was wearing Puma's new shoes as well, and I was on a Project 3 thing with them, where basically if I got a PB of like 4 minutes or more, I got a little bonus.
I thought it was 3 minutes.
What?
Was it not 3 minutes?
I think it's like, maybe it was, but I got it, and my Puma guy texted me after saying, oh, just let you know, you well done on the thing, and they were giving you a little... the runner's high then was like skyrocketing, because I was like, oh my God.
So for context, you had ran how many marathons before yesterday?
This was my third marathon, so I did 2 back-to-back last year, 3 weeks apart for my first 2 marathons.
And so what were the 2 times you did for those?
So the first one was Richmond Run Fest. It was like a little 2,000 person marathon. And that one was me and my best mate were both doing it. We were both being really competitive with each other, and we were both going for sub 3. I didn't really follow a structured plan for it, but I'd done like a couple of 50Ks in training for it, just randomly, and also like some speedy runs and some easy runs. So I was like doing the process, but sort of just like varying up the kinds of runs I was doing. Did a couple of 50Ks that were I'd just sign up for them for a bit of a laugh. They were like they're like lap ones, you know, where you just do laps. It was like 5K laps. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna do 10 laps. But that was like stopping at aid stations, and like every 5K I'd stop, have a drink, have a snack, and carry on. So it wasn't continuous running the entire way. But yeah, we were both being super competitive to get sub 3, and I got 15 seconds under, he got 5 seconds under. So we both did it from 0 to marathon and just doing that. And then 3 weeks later, I'd signed up to Lisbon Marathon because I was like, oh yeah, why not? Let's give it a go. Like, I'm able to do half marathons 3 weeks apart. Why not try to do full marathons 3 weeks apart, without realizing that full marathons are much more than double a half marathon, which I learned the hard way. And yeah, so Richmond Run Fest was just under 3 by like 15 seconds. Lisbon was like 3 hours 20.
Yeah.
So,
and so you did 2:59:45. What did you do yesterday?
2:52:39.
So that's a huge kind of nearly 8-minute PB. That's fantastic.
Yeah, and that's also with much hotter and harder conditions. Like, my first one was like 14 degrees and like dry, but like it was just like the perfect sort of. Whereas this one was like, it was hot, and I think a lot of people went out too quick and slowed down in the second half, which I did. But luckily, there were lots of people, even with elite bibs, that were like having to walk at the end. And like, obviously Anya managed to negative split. One of the very few, if not the only people to negative split yesterday's race. But yeah, managed to run through the entire way. I think every kilometre was under 5 minutes. And just sort of like, got to the end. And I saw, when you see London Eye, you're like, hey, just a couple kilometres, just a couple kilometres. You get to Buckingham Palace, you turn the corner. And I was like, thank God. Whipped my phone out, just got a quick little clip of crossing the finish line so I can complete a bit of a race day vlog. Collated all the various videos of friends that sent me across, so they managed to get a clip of me going around. And
so you go. We
were having a look at your Strava, and when you passed the runner cheer zone, and I think it's probably the same with mine, you like your pace like rocketed up. How much does the support make a difference for you in marathons? Because obviously, I think Lisbon would have had a totally different atmosphere to Richmond.
Yeah.
Like, how do these like big major city marathons?
Well, Lisbon and Richmond, I would not have got cheered on once. I don't think. So actually, Lisbon was once.
Okay.
Richmond was 0 because it wasn't like a spectator marathon really.
Okay.
So whereas yesterday, I'd announced it on social media. I've been super public about it. I'd Oli and Burrito on my bib, and like I put my split times up on my story, so like 100,000 people saw that, and then everyone was like tracking it online. So I got loads of messages afterwards of people who were tracking it. The people who were in the early ones I would have been ahead of the time I said. The later ones, I was been a little bit behind the times I said. So there's a few minutes of leeway, and I was getting someone shout Oli or Burrito or scran every like 200 meters. It was hundreds of times I was getting shouted at, and sort of that. I was so emotional by the end. Like the support, like you're like in a hole and you forget about all the work you put in. It all goes away. It just disappears from your brain, and like it gets grounded back to earth. Like you see a friend, or you see your mum, or you see your girlfriend, or whatever else, and like it just picks you back up. Although my arm did get tired because having to get thanks every 200 meters, but I think the benefits from the mental side completely counteracted the sort of the energy spent saying thanks to people cheering you on. And even like friends who I've not seen in years were like coming out to like watch it as well. People I didn't even know were watching, and they were like, "Go on, Ali!" I was like, "Oh my god, I've not seen you in like 2 years. Like, thank you." But yeah, it was so good. What a special marathon, honestly.
Yeah, I did do some Strava stalking, and so I think your average pace was 4:02.
Yes.
But I zoomed in at the kind of 30-kilometer mark on your Strava. You went past us at, I think, 3:09. So you really got a big bit of adrenaline there. And I think it's those continuous adrenaline bumps that just get you through to that.
I was so gassed at the Runna cheer zone. It was such a hype. I was like, let's go.
No, it was amazing. And did the whole way through the run, you believed? Did you feel good? Or were there times where you were like, oh, I should walk? Like, how did you feel, especially in that second half when, like you said, it was getting really hard? How was your head?
The last 10K, there were moments when I was thinking about walking. And I think every time I was thinking about walking, someone else would shout Oli. So I think literally the only thing that stopped me from walking yesterday was people cheering me on. I would have been walking without it. And a lot of people were. But yeah, I was just like, right, I'll slow it down a little bit. So I was doing like 4:30Ks. And I think at the end, I managed to get to just about 4 for like the last little bit around the corner. But my legs were on they were on their last legs, I guess.
Do you think about Oli back when you weren't as happy before you'd started running, when you were going through a tough time? Do you consider that, and does it motivate you?
It's mental, and a lot of people don't realise that's where I came from.
I
like,
had no idea.
I'm not some athletic person. You know, I wasn't sporty at school. Like I played the odd bit of sport, but it was like mostly badminton was my main sport. Wasn't particularly sporty at uni, and it just sort of like in the past 3 years I just was like, right, let's see what my body's actually capable of. Let's see what I can do. But yeah, a lot of people just don't. They see me as like, oh, he's doing well, he's successful, he's got this and that going for him. Well, there was a point when I was like not earning any money, not doing any fitness, not my life didn't have a good direction to it, and basically starting to run fixed it all.
Yeah.
I think it's so important for people to hear that you can do incredible things starting in a very, very ordinary place. And I think the one key theme in your journey, in some of the Olympians' journeys we've chatted to, and anyone who achieves an amazing thing, is working hard consistently at something for a long time. And the only way you're going to be able to do that is by learning to love it. And like, I think you've clearly found a way to love running and love your cooking, and that's why you're excelling at both of them in such a way, and hopefully continue to do for during the next 50 years ahead.
Hopefully, you just gotta show up every day, and the motivation doesn't stay as well. You do have to work on it every single time. Like, I think it's just getting out the door. Like, the benefits will come, and you just got to trust the process, and you just got to get your feet out the door, put one foot in front of the other, and just see where your mind goes, and just got to do that every single day, because you're not gonna go for a run today and suddenly tomorrow you're gonna like be super motivated to go for a run today again. Like, you've really got to work on it every day and just keep going, and you'll feel better and better and better and better, and it will get easier. But you do need to sort of really push yourself. Just get your feet out the door. Let's go.
Yeah. I have a challenge for you. My friend, I think last year, tried to get the world record of the fastest marathon time dressed as a chef, and I think you could get it. I think it's just under sub-3. He didn't manage it because he didn't realise you also have to carry, I think it's like a 5 kilogram cooking utensil, like a pot. but I think you should do it. Would you be up for that?
I'm 100% up for. There's a few I've been eyeing up marathon world records of ones that are doable, because there's some that like I maybe am uniquely tailored for. So anything that involves carrying a heavy object, because I am naturally heavier.
Proportionally, your heavy object is less heavy.
And I also spend my life in flip-flops. I was eyeing up so people have done a marathon in flip-flops really quick. Like people have done it in like 2 hours 20, 2 hours 30, but it's not been officially officiated by Guinness. So the quickest Guinness World Record in flip-flops is 3:37.
Oh, really?
So I don't want to publicly announce it because people are going to go for it. But I think 3:37. I spent my life in flip-flops.
I've seen some very fast ones on Instagram that I assume that had really come down, but they haven't officially done it.
Guinness, yeah. When you on the Guinness thing, it's still 3:37. So even though people have done it way quicker, so I might sneak that one. Ski boots is 5 hours 40.
I saw someone did that in Paris.
The Paris one was they did it in 6:30, so it was a phenomenal effort. But yeah, the world record still stands at 5:30. But seeing his toenails afterwards kind of put me off that one.
I think there's a new one that's coming out where everyone's starting to wear Birkenstocks. I don't think anyone's taken a Birkenstocks marathon down, so that could be uncharted territory.
Yeah, but maybe I'll go for more one that involves carrying a weight, because that's one that I probably am more likely to be able to do a good shift in. I feel like flip flops, you're best off being light.
Yeah.
Well, they've now got the carbon flip flops.
Yes, I wonder, does that count? I don't know what the rules are. We'll have to Google it.
I think probably the definition of a flip flop doesn't rule out carbon fibre.
No,
I would
it
imagine.
doesn't. Well, I'll drop Guinness a DM and see what they're saying.
There's probably another opportunity for us, Anya, which could be the fastest marathon while live recording a podcast.
Oh, yeah.
The only challenge could be for
fun.
the team behind the camera as to how they managed to organise that.
That's so true.
This should absolutely be done. You've got to do it, guys.
We'll order it. Can I ask one more question from me?
Yeah.
How does your audience take your like kind of transition into running content? Because a lot of them followed you for cooking content at the start. Do they, receive it well?
Well, it kind of coincided where like I was obviously doing all this running behind the scenes. I didn't put a peep about it on social media. But then like when running started becoming like so huge on social media, I just thought, well, I'm doing this on the background. Why don't I share it as well? I think my first ever running video on social media was just a day in the life running the Wings for Life World Run with like the Red Bull one, and that I did 28k that day, which was by far the first I'd ever run. And I think the video got like sort of 5 million views, and I was like, oh my god, I can post about not cooking and it does well. I think because what people don't realise is everyone's got such varied interests, and like end of the day, if I've got a million people on Instagram who follow me for food, well, 300,000 of them probably do a bit of running as well, so they might be interested in that too. So I feel like because running is surging in popularity, it means I can kind of share that side of my life as well. So I'm trying to share that, and maybe a bit of skiing stuff, maybe a bit of that, because why not share your entire life? People get a bit of a deeper connection with you as a person, they understand more about you. So, and it's going down really well. Like it's harder to make the content as engaging as food, because it's like the food is everyone, running is like 30% of those people, but the algorithm kind of tails it towards the right people anyway now, so it won't show it to the non-running people. So if you don't run, you probably just won't get recommended that content, but there's enough people who do run that they'll see it, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I guess looking ahead, you've come such an enormously long way. What do you want to achieve both with your work and with your running looking ahead?
Well, my 3-year goals so I've written down on a notes app. I'm gradually ticking them off. So I had a sub-3 marathon in there, which I got it quicker than I thought I would, to be fair. I was expecting it would take another year or two to get there. But I've also got a world record in there. I want to get our world record. But potentially there's one with food in the go, which I can't disclose just yet. It involves a size-related food item, the world's biggest something.
Oh, to cook the world's biggest something.
To cook the world's biggest something.
I thought you were going to say to eat the world's biggest something.
No, I'm good at eating, but not that good at eating.
So some of those people who can eat can really eat.
I'm no beard. I can eat like sort of a burrito this big, but I can't eat a burrito this big. So there's levels to it. But yeah, making the world's biggest something. And then also I've signed up to my first ultra in June, so that's my next running thing. 100k down Hadrian's Wall, ending in Newcastle.
Wow.
But I'm gonna take it really slow and have snacks, and it's gonna be a different thing to marathons altogether. Just sort of see what my body's capable of, basically. Yeah.
Wow, that is incredible. Well, huge good luck, and it is incredible to see you fly past us yesterday, especially knowing where you started with your running as well. We're going to segue off to Steph with our coaching tip of the week.
Whenever you have a tough session or a run just doesn't feel as easy as you like, remember you're not alone. Even professionals have bad days too. When you have these sorts of sessions, just focus on the effort, bank the workout, and remember it still counts.
Thanks for that, Steph. I'm going to bring us back with our discussion for the week. Lots of people think balance is about moderation, but sometimes chasing big goals takes real extremes. Do you think true balance is possible when you're pushing yourself this hard whilst also continuing to have such a large presence on social media, creating all your crazy meals?
Well, it's work hard, eat hard, play hard. So like, as long as you're balancing out the eating with the exercise and the fun, you end up still being happy at the end of it. So yeah, do lots of everything, and it all balances out.
Because some people say there's that triangle where you can't have like a good work balance, like family, relationships, and sport. But you think you've got a good...
Well, there's certainly elements of like, I'm in a very privileged position where like I don't have a full-time office job, and like if I'm super busy with other stuff, like I can sort of social media, I can repost older videos. So it's like when I'm super busy or if I'm on holiday, I'll just like go back to 6 months ago, copy and paste the project across, slightly tweak it and post it up, so I can sort of repeat work when I'm super busy. So I'm very privileged to be able to do that. But it's obviously harder when you're working a full-time job to be able to balance all these things. And I've got full-time control. So if you don't, then maybe go a little bit easier on some of the other things.
I think also balance is a really interesting thing because we all have different values. And so I might be able to feel really balanced where I don't drink, so I don't need to be partying, and I don't have a huge social quota. So for me, I can tick my kind of like social buckets, partly because I do so much social interaction through work. So I've got the work bucket ticked, work hard. And then I probably only need to do 1 or 2 evenings with friends or partner or family, and I'm feeling like my social bucket's filled. And then I also need like probably like 10 activities of exercise to feel like that's filled. And like for me, that makes me happy, makes me feel balanced. If you put someone else in my shoes, they'd be like, he's overworking, he's overtraining, and he's got no friends, or whatever it is. So I think the key to getting balance is understanding what balance is for you, and not feeling that you need to spend 33% of your life in work, 33% of your life in exercise, and 33% of your life with friends. And with that in mind, like you probably spend a lot more time doing your elements than what you would want, and you might not feel balanced living Oli's life. And again, if either of us ran Anya's life, we'd feel like we're doing too many laps of Battersea Park. So like balance is different for everyone. I think the key is to work out what it is that makes you happy for a week or for a month, and then to try and keep doing that for a long time. And the way to be succeeding is to be finding balance that makes you happy, and that will make you succeed in them all. But I think also we have to recognize that to succeed, we have to challenge ourselves. And with that in mind, we probably have to compromise in areas. And sometimes you'll be right before the marathon, and therefore maybe a little bit less socializing, a little bit less partying, and maybe a bit more training. And then actually you celebrate, you can dial back on the training and dial up in other areas. So it's also not one balance for 365 the days a year, and it's instead ebbs and flows based off how it's all going. How do you feel balanced at the moment, Anya?
I do. For the first time in quite a while, I feel like it's taken a while, but I've never thought about it like that, and I really like that it's not 32% of each of them. I feel really level at the moment, which is good.
Good.
I hadn't thought about it like that, but that is, I guess, me and you probably the same in the sense that my social time probably takes up the least portion of that bucket, because as a naturally introverted person, I'm happy tinkering away with cooking and running on my own for a few weeks, and then I'll see my friends every like month or so. Yeah. Where some people want to see friends like 3 or 4 times a week, and obviously buckets, and
And I think also like for me, in reality, I don't socialize through the pub. I can socialize, and my favorite way to socialize is via a run or via a cycle with my friends, going to park run, going to my club cycle ride. And that way I'm able to basically only need to do 2 buckets. I exercise and I work, and ideally I try and see some friends while I do exercise. And I also do quite a lot of talking to people at work, which also gives me some social bucket as well. Moving on, we've got our this or that. So these are obviously extremely serious, very sensible options. So, bearing in mind that you are the burrito monster, would you rather eat a burrito every day for the next 365 days, or not have a burrito for the next 365 days?
Every day.
Every day.
Every day. Because burritos can take so many forms as well. You can have variety in burritos, as my page will hopefully show. And to be honest, I probably do have like 5 a week anyway.
Okay, let's level it up. You can only eat burritos for the next 365 days, not just one a day. You can only consume all calories via burritos. So it's burritos and water, or no burritos for you.
Probably no burritos for a year. I feel like I would go insane, and I'd lose the love for it.
You'd have to make little burrito. I know you were telling me about this. You have to make little burrito energy gels for your ultra if you did that as well.
Yeah, or I'd get a dog, and I'd do like doggy burritos, and I can make the burritos, and the dog still eats it. So maybe you can still content burritos, but where I'm not having to actually consume them.
You'd have to have a big dog. Seen your meals.
Well, I've been googling dogs because I want to get one soon, and I was just basically wanting to get one where they can run like a half marathon with me. So my breed of choice would be an Aussie Shepherd, I think, because they can run quite far.
Maybe we'll have to do a deep dive in the dog recommendations from your research, because I'm sure other people listening at home will want to know runners' recommendation of the best running dog.
Yeah.
Yes, actually, that'd be cool to see.
So we'll have to have that as a follow-up special episode.
Comment down below what the best dog for running is.
Yeah, absolutely. We want to know. Right, next up. Would you rather run your next marathon backwards or in high heels?
In high heels. I think my neck would just hurt too much from running it backwards. I've already got a bit of a sprained neck just from yesterday, so I think, high heels.
There's other options.
I actually met someone yesterday.
You could run with a selfie camera just the whole way. Or you could get a little wing mirror.
I think it'd be a funnier bit for content to do it in high heels. And actually, there's a guy at the Runner event who did it in high heels. He's run like something like 370 marathons, and he did one in high heels in Chicago.
Oh, wow.
He was at the Runner HQ, the Runner pop-up thing, and his feet looked horrendous afterwards. But I think that'd be a funny bit.
Have you ever tried to run backwards? Like for more than like 100 meters?
No.
It's extremely tiring. As in, it can be quite productive to like go backwards up a hill when you're really tired or whatever, because you like change the muscles around. But running backwards is so hard on your calves. I tried to. Well, I think one time I was going to do parkrun and all my mates were really hungover, so I was like, see if I can run it backwards with them. I got like 4K and I had to turn around. It was so tiring. My calves were just on fire. So I actually think
you did it for 4K.
But it was like a comfortable pace.
Still, kudos.
Yeah, well, didn't quite make the full park run. We'll have to do a backwards 5K race and see how we stack up, and you can wear heels. Are you backwards or heels?
Heels.
Are you often in heels or?
Not anymore. I've got 2 bad bunions from running.
There's probably an element that carbon shoes
are heels.
and like they limit how high they can be because it'd be too much of an advantage. So there's probably the right engineered high heel could be an advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We'll work on that one when we're not building running plans. Finally, yesterday, you ran the marathon. You did your PB, but it was really hard in that second half. Would you rather have had to keep going to the 50-kilometer mark, but you get your medal, you get your time, or you get to stop at 42.2 kilometers, but your time reads 3:15?
Keep going to 50. It would have hurt, and that's probably double the effort of the marathon, honestly. But yeah, luckily over all this stuff I've done, I've built up this like mental grit where I'll just push my body till it breaks. And yeah, I would do that again. Yeah.
You'd have had a victory 8K lap at least.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe laps of like sort of the Buckingham Palace and St James Park where like the crowds are insane. You know, at least you're just getting cheered on. And
What about you, Enya?
Yesterday, I would have carried on running, but most marathons you couldn't pay me to run like 2 meters further.
Fair enough.
I mean, I probably ended up walking around London for about
Yeah.
5K afterwards. I got lost in St James Park and then doing a lap of that before getting to the Runner HQ and then sort of walking around.
Well, I guess a
Soho
lot of elites will do a 2-minute jog cool down, so they may be doing their 50K in the day anyway.
Have you ever done that? Are you
No.
John cool down?
No. Our last question that we like to ask all of our guests. Oli, if you were describing or creating your dream race, what would it be? Where would it be? What food and drink are you having at the finish? And who's presenting you with your medal?
It would be a 15K trail run up my favourite mountain and down in Wales called Tryfan.
Okay.
I would take little inflatable stand-up paddle boards to put out on the lake at the bottom at the end. I guess it's less of a run, more of a climb. It's quite a steep mountain. There's like a bit of rock climbing in the middle.
Okay.
It'd be up that, down, you go past Australia Lake on the way down. Every now and again there's herds of wild horses that you can run past on the bottom. So you can run past little herds of like Shire ponies type things that are wild. You can give them a little stroke on the way down. You get to the bottom and waiting for you is a tandoori chicken madras and a garlic naan.
Oh.
And who would commentate it?
And then where does
Ramesh.
where oh, well, that would be,
Ramesh
he gives you
Ranganathan.
your award.
He gives you the award.
And where does the stand-up paddleboard come in? Sorry, is that like for you to go and bathe?
Just to go out
afterwards,
and,
or-
yeah, basically just going out and sunbathe.
And is that with your curry, or you eat the curry on land?
I think
and
you
then
eat the
go for
curry
a
on
float?
land because I think you get a bit sick. You have the curry, then you go out and just sort of push yourself out from the edge on the thing and just relax. It's a completely flat lake.
Paddleboard could be part of the race. That could be like a
You got to go across the
duathlon.
lake at the end to get to the Ramesh is on the other side with a medal. You got to paddle across to. Yeah, we'll do that. Yeah.
Wow.
The last thing I'd want is a curry at the end of a big race.
I just love curry.
Do you have your appetite at the finish line?
It takes me a little bit, I think, but
Then it comes.
actually, I was having gels on the finish line yesterday because I had 3 gels left. I probably under gelled, but I over carb loaded and avoided the wall. Luckily, so I gelled up just sort of replenish my energy stores a little bit.
I don't think I've ever had something with a gel on the finish line. Normally, people are like, I've had enough sweet foods. I want
Never again.
never want to see a gel for the next 6 weeks. But
It was tactically avoiding the energy crash, I think.
Okay. Well, you seem like you're in great spirits at the finish line, so something worked. Well, thank you so much for sharing your journey, sharing your story, training so hard, and having the most incredible run yesterday. And thank you so much for joining us on the podcast.
Thanks for having me on. It's been fun.
Today's podcast is powered by Runna. Runna is the #1 rated running coaching service worldwide. And whatever your running goal, whether you're looking to do your first 5K, improve your time over the 10K, or even run a marathon or an ultra marathon, we'll build you the personalized training for you to help you get there and enjoy the process along the way. If you want to download the Runna app, you'll get 2 weeks for free with code podcast25. And if you're already a Runna customer, you can head to the premium offers section where we've got a 15% off discount for you off any of our Runna merchandise.
And if you enjoyed today's episode, please like, share, subscribe. And if you loved it, give us a 5-star rating. And we'll be back next week with another inspiring guest. See you then.